After the college entrance exam, my half-sister was on the hot search. Everyone said the aristocratic James family has talented women. My sister is the liberal arts top scorer, and my half-sister is the dance academy top. Just when that half-sister was trying to take advantage of this momentum to enter the family, I had someone break her leg. On the day of my graduation banquet, my father brought the half-sister to the banquet, and the half-sister knelt on her knees, begging my mother to let her join the family. The people around were in shock. When the bodyguard stepped forward to drag her away, his mother stopped him with a look. I crossed my arms and stood aside to watch the show, wondering what nonsense the illegitimate daughter could come up with. The illegitimate daughter was crying, her face wet with tears. I may be an illegitimate child, but I still have James family blood in me. Please be merciful and let me in. I can sing and dance. And I'm not ugly either. I won't bring shame to the James family. After saying that, she crawled a few steps forward, but before she could say anything else, Lincoln family young master recognized her. He pointed at the illegitimate daughter, his voice full of surprise. Aren't you the girl who came first in this year's dance academy exam? Winnie realized someone remembered her, and immediately nodded. She had still wanted to let the young master of the Lincoln family say a few more words, but the young master of the Lincoln family clapped his hands and laughed. My grandmother also said you have a noble and unyielding spirit when you dance, but I didn't expect you to kneel so quickly. After saying that, I heard the sound of people laughing secretly around me, and Winnie's suddenly darkened face, watching Winnie's expression as if she was about to faint. I didn't even speak up in her defense. Instead, I held a glass of wine and stood by, laughing as Winnie was embarrassed. In the midst of the laughter around me, my father's face turned serious. It was he who brought the person. Winnie was mocked, and it was also his reputation that was lost. Seeing the male lead get angry, yet no one came forward to intervene. After all, James' family had already squandered their family's wealth, and the mother's family had seized the opportunities in recent years. He managed to climb J City into the upper class. Everyone came to my graduation banquet. All because of my mother's reputation. Father publicly brought his mistress to force the mother into submission, even if it was for future business cooperation with the mother. No one would speak up for the father. I stood by coldly watching Winnie being humiliated enough. Then I slowly put down my glass and clapped my hands. The bodyguards waiting outside immediately entered the room, each grabbing one of Winnie's arms and pulling her up from the ground. I first smiled and apologized to the people around me. I'm really sorry. The security at this party wasn't good enough, and it must have been a joke to you all. After saying that, I gave the bodyguards a glance. The bodyguards immediately understood and dragged the struggling Winnie out. Finally, they threw her out of James' family's mansion. My father looked at Winnie being dealt with a pale face, but he had no idea what to do. He could only smash his wine glass in anger, and left the party on his own, while my mother, sitting at the head of the table, remained kind and approachable the whole time. She watched me deal with Winnie with a smile. The banquet ended. I changed out of that elaborate and complicated dress and put on a simple skirt. I just tied my hair up and was taken back to the living room by the servant. In the living room, my father and mother were sitting opposite each other. On one side of the floor was Winnie, who had just been sent out. She was now wearing a white dress and looking pitiful, wiping her tears. When they saw me coming down, my mother waved her hand, asking me to sit beside her. My mother looked at Winnie kneeling on the floor and said carelessly, "Do you really want to join the James family?" Winnie nodded eagerly, about to continue begging, but she didn't expect her mother to agree immediately. "Of course I can." After saying that, her mother squinted her eyes and smiled. "If you're willing, I'll hold a press conference tomorrow and say you're my biological daughter." Her father's eyes flashed with surprise, about to stop her. Winnie but agreed immediately. I'm willing. As soon as she finished speaking, her mother squinted her eyes and turned her head toward her father, smiling. "But you're not really my biological child. If you want me to acknowledge her, you must return everything that was given to my daughter in your father's will, without any deductions." After saying that, the atmosphere in the living room became tense all of a sudden. Father looked at mother with gritted teeth. Mother, however, laughed fearlessly and took a sip of tea. I lowered my eyes and said nothing. Back then, grandfather knew father was incompetent, so he arranged a business marriage with mother, who was very capable but had a slightly weak financial background. The daughter born to mother also inherited her intelligence. Grandfather was very satisfied with that. Even wanted to bypass father, this fool, directly give James' family to me. Who knows, he hadn't even had the chance to do it yet. He died of cancer before he could. Fortunately, he left a will stating that after I turned 18, he would transfer Jane's family business 20% of the shares to me, and before that, it would be kept by my father. But it has already been 3 months since I turned 18. My father still acts as if nothing is wrong, refusing to give it to me. It seems like he's trying to give the shares to his illegitimate daughter. Seeing my father's silent expression, my mother let out a light laugh. She turned to the butler and said, "Since you don't want it, then take this lady out." Watching the opportunity to enter a wealthy family slip away, at the last moment, Winnie cried out to her father, "Dad, think about me and..." After saying that, her father finally made up his mind and grabbed the butler who was about to step forward. He gritted his teeth and said, "Give it to her." Her mother nodded in satisfaction, then clapped her hands, and the lawyer, who had been waiting in the next room, came forward. She took out the documents and was waiting for her father to sign them. Her mother saw that the matter was almost settled, patting my shoulder with a smile. "Julia, you're going to be an older sister, since there's nothing to do now. Take Winnie and show her around our house." I smiled and nodded. Then reached out to Winnie, who was kneeling on the floor. Even if Winnie was reluctant, I had to act obedient in front of my mother and take her hand. The sharp diamond bracelet on my arm cut into her injured wrist. She gently struggled, but I held her tightly, while my father was busy bargaining with the lawyer. I pulled Winnie and walked out of the living room quickly. James' family was once a prominent family in J City, therefore, the mansion was truly luxurious. Winnie was pulled by me down the corridor. We finally arrived in the courtyard. I saw that there were no servants around. She quickly took off her mask and brushed my hand away. I lazily leaned against the column in the corridor, watching her carefully examine her injured body. Dancers are most afraid of leaving scars on their bodies. Winnie was no exception. Seeing her tense expression, I immediately pretended to be surprised and said, "Oh no, look at my clumsy self. I didn't even notice my sister was hurt." I was about to step forward, but she waved me away with one hand. "Get away, you hypocritical bitch." She hit me hard, and I saw my hand turn red from the blow. My face showed an unreadable expression. Finally, I looked up at her and let out a cold laugh. "Do you think you're something? How dare you touch me? A bastard daughter, who just knelt on the ground before my mother and thanked her for joining the James family. Now you still have the face to call me hypocritical." As I said that, I looked at Winnie with a mocking expression. Winnie has always been arrogant and domineering. Upon hearing this, she was almost furious. Not heeding her father's advice to be patient, she immediately laughed out loud. "Julia, don't be too quick to be proud. So what if you're a bastard? Don't you know that marrying is a woman's second birth? I'm so pretty, and I'm the top of the dance academy. Father can just pick any marriage for me, and I'll live a much more comfortable life than you. What are you? So what if you're the top in liberal arts? You're not as pretty or as charming as me, and in the end, you'll still be unable to get married." After saying that, she looked at me like she had found a lifeline. As if she were the victor, I looked at her smug expression. I didn't feel like saying anything else, so I turned the ring on my finger. I turned the sharp side toward my palm, then grabbed Winnie's hair. The other hand fiercely slapped her several times. The sharp jewelry cut into her beautiful face, along with several ugly slap marks. She immediately clutched her face and fell to the ground. I then kicked her from the corridor into the nearby flower bed. In the chaos, I heard her furious curses. Yet I lazily kicked her back into the water as she struggled to climb back up. Then I finally said, "Since you're new here, you probably don't know that I, Julia, am not someone to be messed with, even if you're now a member of the James family. But you are just beggars in my eyes. You're just a dancing toy, a plaything to be entertained, relying on the fact that we share half our blood. You actually want to claim something that belongs to me." After saying that, I stepped on her hand clinging to the stone bricks and pressed down, and I definitely heard her scream. Winnie stammered, "You're doing this to me. Father will never let you off." I looked at her pitiful state and laughed heartily. "He's nothing, just a useless person who only knows how to bankrupt the company. You'd be better off threatening me to poop in the James family living room. That would be much more intimidating than your father's threat." After saying that, I straightened up. I patted off the non-existent dust on my clothes. I said slowly, "No one will come to save you tonight. If you can make it up, do so. If not, sleep in the garden. Now, everyone in the James family is under my control. You'd better behave yourself." Saying that, I casually picked up the fan placed by the corridor. I fanned myself while walking back to the room. Winnie was raised in a spoiled manner. She had never experienced such a big injustice before. The next day, she went to tell her father about it. When I was called to the living room, I saw my father, furious, and Winnie, covering her face, looking pitiful and helpless. My father pointed at Winnie's face and interrogated me. "Julia, why did you hit your sister? How cruel your mind is." I just woke up, didn't pay attention to the angry father, but looked at Winnie. "I already told you, didn't I?" Instead of complaining to Dad, "You could just poop in the living room. That would be more intimidating to me." Dad grabbed me by the arm. "Answer my question. Don't provoke your sister like that." I rolled my eyes at the sky and waved Dad's hand away. "A bastard daughter, hit her and you still need an excuse. Instead of questioning me here, you should think about how to explain to the shareholders of your last remaining company why you went bankrupt again." After saying that, I indeed saw my father's guilty expression. I let out a mocking laugh and gave the illegitimate daughter the middle finger before leaving. My father saw me acting like a scoundrel. He became extremely angry. When my mother came back, I reported it to her, but my mother easily brushed it off with a few words, and he still wanted to say more. She then seized his weakness with a smile. "If you keep talking." I had actually planned to host a wine party to celebrate Winnie returning to Jane's family. As soon as she finished speaking, my father immediately shut up. Following him, Winnie didn't make a sound either. I know why Winnie is so anxious about her face. My mother's Jane's family company is about to promote a new product. J City's connections were originally supposed to be used at my graduation banquet. Who would have known that my father, a useless fool, let a mistress mess up this good plan? Because of that, my mother had to take the opportunity of the mistress coming home, reopen Jane's family with another banquet to re-socialize, and Winnie really thought she was the star of this banquet. She was so pleased with herself that she started getting ready. On the afternoon before the banquet started, she even made an appointment at a beauty salon, preparing to save her face that I ruined. But I stayed in the James family mansion. The phone was constantly receiving messages from social media apps. "I heard the James family is really going to let the illegitimate daughter in. Is it true?" "It's true. The aunt posted it tonight." The person who asked the question in the group changed from a question to something unbelievable. "So Julia didn't peel off that illegitimate daughter's skin. She's so kind." As soon as the words were spoken, a wave of laughter followed. I was speechless and explained. "Her face was swollen from my punch, and she's currently in a beauty salon getting it fixed." After saying that, I also mocked the illegitimate daughter a couple of times. The rich guys in the group basically found out about my attitude towards Winnie. My attitude towards her tonight will not be good either. Wait until Winnie comes back from the beauty salon, just in time for the butler to send Winnie a gift dress. I was sitting in the living room having tea. As soon as I looked up, I could see Winnie's excited face looking at the haute couture dress. Just someone who is greedy for wealth and has no brain. She is destined to be a pawn in the aristocratic family. Just thinking about this, my eyes toward Winnie were filled with pity. A pawn to be exploited as soon as it's launched. How pitiful. Half an hour before the party starts, I just randomly put on a tuxedo and went downstairs to wait for the start. Winnie is elegantly sitting in the living room. Luxurious and precious fabric wrapped around her graceful figure. She looked beautiful and exquisite. Plus some jewelry embellishment. Winnie really did look like a proper young lady, but this was just how she felt. After the cocktail party started, after her mother quickly introduced her, she took me around to socialize in a simple and elegant outfit. The scene she had imagined, where she would be the center of attention, did not happen. I was holding a glass of red wine, standing not far away, smiling as I watched Winnie alone sitting on the sofa. The young gentlemen and ladies gathered in small groups around her. They were pointing and talking about her. Wait until the first round of socializing is over. My mother let me go, telling me to get to know J City's second generation and build some rapport. I nodded with a smile. Then I went toward the small banquet hall where the second generation gathered. Seeing me arrive, Duncan family's daughter, who were on good terms with me, noticed me. She immediately came over and took my hand. Looking at Winnie, who was sitting on the sofa, feeling isolated and helpless. "Why are you all leaving my good sister alone?" After saying that, I saw Winnie quickly look up at me. I smiled and raised my glass to her, not missing the flicker of resentment in her eyes. Duncan family's miss made a face. "Just a bastard. Yet she's so full of herself, expecting us to go talk to her. She's so high and mighty she won't even talk to people from minor families." A while ago, a scholar from a minor family tried to chat with her, and she just gave him a cold look. I looked at the self-important Winnie, and continued along with her words. Exactly. Do you think I would go and flatter her? Then I suddenly remembered something, and a smile appeared on my lips, addressing Duncan family's miss. Let's go and tease her a bit. Duncan family's miss understood. While Winnie was in the bathroom, she told the plan in the group chat. Once Winnie came back, she suddenly realized. Many noble ladies seemed to have suddenly become enlightened. Once she came back, they warmly took her hand and spoke to her, but she was just dazed for a moment, and didn't yet feel anything was wrong. She calmly accepted the kindness they showed her. While they were chatting, Duncan family lady suddenly pointed to a handsome young man not far away and introduced him as if it were accidental. This is J City George family's young master Lucas, and also the only heir of their family this generation. George family is one of the top wealthy families in J City, and Lucas himself is very outstanding. We were just joking, but who will be the George family bride? After saying that, Duncan family girl glanced at Winnie, and indeed saw her eager expression. To make her more active-minded, Duncan family girl added fuel to the fire. I heard your mother really likes Lucas, and she's planning to let Julia marry him. After saying that, Winnie could no longer sit still. A person that the mother has already approved of is simply a golden bachelor in the marriage market. She needs to seize the opportunity, because if George family young master takes an interest in her, she could become a lady in one step, and then even Julia, that little slut, would have to apologize to her. The Duncan family's daughter looked at Winnie, who was eager to try. She almost couldn't hold back her laughter, and added, Lucas himself really likes dancing. I heard you are a dance student. Right, Winnie nodded modestly. Then the Duncan family's daughter immediately laughed exaggeratedly. That's really convenient. Shall I introduce you too? After saying that, she led Winnie, who was pretending to decline but was actually delighted, towards Lucas. Winnie was still fascinated by Lucas's face, didn't see Duncan family girl laughing uncontrollably when she turned away. J City has very little social mobility among the upper class, therefore, we are all old friends for over 10 years. We all know each other well, we all know what each other is like. On the surface, we all act like proper people, but in reality, we are just a group of mischievous kids who like to play tricks. Just now, I had Duncan family girl say something in the group, letting everyone Winnie act out a common plot from a boss novel, and the one who played the male lead was Lucas, the poor guy who rolled the lowest number in the WeChat group dice game. Looking Winnie closer and closer Lucas. The messages in the WeChat group quickly increased. What do you think she will say first? I don't know, but it's not possible that she will say, lend me $500, you guys, that's enough. I slightly smiled and quickly typed in the group, a bag of spicy sticks. She will say, are you my sister's fiancé? Group Lucas immediately sent a question mark. When did I become your jester's fiancé? Duncan family's miss immediately came out to explain. The character setup I gave you will make the character more vivid. Indeed, Winnie approached Lucas. Lucas subtly put away his phone, and the first thing he heard was, are you my sister's fiancé? Lucas grimaced slightly. Julia, the old prophet, that's it. Lucas followed the guidance of the group members, and Winnie talked from the refined to the vulgar. In the end, even the price of $10 per caddy for salted fish in the market was mentioned. Winnie had not yet realized something was wrong. Just making a joke, I didn't expect Lucas to be such a homebody, even knowing how much a salted fish costs. Lucas curled his lips. It seemed he didn't want to accept her compliment. Meanwhile, the Duncan family girl on the other end of the phone was laughing uncontrollably on the sofa. I couldn't stand it anymore. I pushed her. Be serious, you'll get caught. And Lucas shouted in the group chat, please talk about something normal. How could a rich guy like me know how much a salted fish costs per caddy? There's sure to be a despicable rich second generation to respond in the group. Just say you're the king of aquaculture. After all, your reputation as a sea king is pretty well known in J City. After saying that, the group burst into laughter immediately. Only Lucas stayed stubbornly to deal with Winnie, until finally George family's servant came to look for Lucas. Lucas finally politely ended the conversation with Winnie. Duncan family lady immediately said in the group, Winnie looks very pleased. Maybe we should give Julia and her a little opportunity, see what she would say to Julia. The group was full of people who loved to watch others get into trouble. They immediately passed it by a unanimous vote. I smiled and told them to wait in the restroom on the first floor of the banquet hall. Watch me and Winnie's showdown. Winnie stood up when she saw me pretending to go to the restroom. When I came out of the cubicle to wash my hands, she deliberately blocked me at the door, Sister, did you see? I had a great chat with your fiancé. I calmly shook the water droplets off my hands. Then he slowly straightened up and looked at her. So what are you trying to say, Winnie? Winnie had originally thought that she had stolen my man. I would have panicked and threatened her, but instead, I remained calm and composed. I looked at her like watching a monkey. She bit her lip and laughed wildly. I want to say, I didn't expect you to be so ordinary. Your friend was kind to me, your fiancé was attracted to me, and you can only be a foolish and raging little clown. You are absolutely not worthy of being Jane's family's lady. I want you to watch me take your property. Marry your fiancé, and become the most outstanding lady of the James family. After saying that, I watched her laugh like an idiot, then I left without looking back. I then looked at my fingers out of boredom after she left. I thought this illegitimate daughter was too low level. I didn't even feel like fighting with her. The ladies hiding in the restroom stalls also stepped out. Each of them had a bored expression on their face. Miss Duncan rolled her eyes. This level of intelligence. And she's still the first in the dance academy. I shrugged. People dance with their feet, not their brains. With her pig brain, if she really took the cultural exam, she would have already been serving plates. When returning to the banquet hall, the young masters and mistresses gathered together again. Comment Winnie on her behavior just now. These illegitimate children generally don't have high IQs. The last time, the J.I. family's one was like that too. And it was easy to trick him into falling for it. The young master from the Wang family, standing on the side, laughed and responded, people who want to climb up and get rich quickly aren't smart. These people all want to use the identity of a noble young master or mistress to catch a rich husband. But in reality, they are just clowns. I nodded in agreement. Then he said a couple more sentences. My mother sent someone to find me. She said she wanted to take me to meet another group of people. Until the end of the party, I saw Winnie. She was still as glamorous as ever, radiant and standing at the door to see guests off. When I saw Lucas, the way she looked at him with longing made me feel goosebumps. My mother wasn't a fool either. Wait until the guests are gone. She even specifically asked me what was going on. I immediately told her the whole story. When I got to Winnie saying harsh words to me in the bathroom, even my mother, who is usually so proper, couldn't help but laugh. After laughing, she patted my shoulder. She told me not to go too far, not to make Winnie angry when she found out the truth. I nodded, then pulled my mom aside to talk. The prank at the party that night, it really made Winnie believe it. She told her father about the message that Lucas was interested in her. She asked her father to arrange a meeting between her and Lucas, but her father had already squandered his original wealth. Now he's just a poor man, relying entirely on his mother's support. Even something as simple as meeting Lucas could only be handled by her mother. Her mother looked at Winnie carefully, then she said slowly, Winnie, listen to your mother's advice. Some things that fit your current status are definitely yours, but if you try to reach for something that's not meant for you, you might end up humiliated and lose all your dignity. Having finished speaking, the mother took a sip of tea and looked at Winnie with a smiling face. Winnie, however, gritted her teeth and again asked the mother to let Lucas come over to the James family. Seeing Winnie's stubborn and unyielding look, the mother sighed deeply. In the end, she still sent a message to Mrs. George and Lucas. Watching Winnie happily prepare to go find the butler to choose clothes, the mother slightly turned her head. She smiled and asked me, who was sitting on the side, Julia, do you know why your father is so supportive of this illegitimate daughter this time? Having finished speaking, I hadn't had a chance to answer yet. I saw a hint of mockery in my mother's eyes. She pulled up a photo on her phone, then she handed it to me. I took it and looked at it. It was a prenatal checkup report. My mother laughed coldly. Winnie's birth mother recently had a checkup and found out she is 3 months pregnant. With a boy, you're going to have a younger brother, Julia. I turned my face away and saw my mother's unpleasant expression. I gently took her hand. Mom, it's only 3 months. There's no need to rush. My mother looked at me with concern, smiling and nodding. We'll have to work hard together for the next while. Once everything settles down, I'll deal with this mischievous old thing. To dispel Winnie's daydream, my mother posted a message. Madam George and Lucas were invited to the James family. Winnie and I stood together at the James family entrance, waiting for Madam George to arrive. Winnie wore an elegant little Chanel-style suit with a well-made-up face and expensive jewelry. It looked very expensive. I simply tied my hair up, yawning while waiting for someone. Madam George arrived on time from the George family's luxury car, and saw me waiting at the door. Her eyes lit up, and she took 2 steps forward, hugging me tightly and ruffling my hair. It's been a long time since we last saw Julia. Have you missed your auntie? While saying that, Madame George seemed to ignore Winnie completely. She pulled me into the James family's house. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Winnie's expression. It looked really bad. We arrived at the living room. Madame George immediately ordered the Lucas behind her to open the box. Those were the handicrafts and jewelry she brought back for me when she went abroad recently. She took my hand and introduced them to me one by one. I smiled and nodded in agreement. Appearing very close to Madame George, Lucas sat on the side, watching his mother's behavior with a sour face. Julia, you are really likable. Look at how you fascinated my mother. Before I could say anything, Lucas was slapped on the back by Madame George. You little brat, if you were half as obedient as Julia, I wouldn't have to scold you every day. After saying that, Madame George again took my hand, talking about her travel experiences. His mother's expression toward Winnie changed again and again, interrupting with a smile. She said, "Don't just talk to Julia. How do you think my daughter is?" After saying that, she patted Winnie's shoulder. Winnie straightened her chest and smiled at Mrs. George. Mrs. George glanced at her briefly, gave a few perfunctory words, and then continued talking to me. I looked at Winnie's stiff face, her lips slightly curled. Winnie really thinks she's someone important, a bastard daughter, really thinking she can win over me, the mistress of the James family, with just her face, dream on. Seeing Winnie's embarrassed face, she just gave a strong dose of medicine. His mother grabbed Winnie's hand, smiling. She pushed her toward Madame George. Madame George, Madame George. Winnie and Julia are about the same age, and she graduated from the dance academy. I think Lucas is about her age. Why don't the 2 families get together? As soon as he finished speaking, the once lively living room suddenly fell silent. Winnie looked hopeful, about to say something, but was interrupted by Madame George, only to see Madame George warmly take his mother's arm and scolded. We've been good friends for decades. How come you still keep this from me? We George family don't want a mistress. Besides, Julia is so excellent. You already knew I wanted her to be my daughter-in-law. I didn't expect Mrs. George to be so straightforward. Upon hearing this, she raised an eyebrow and looked at Winnie, who was sitting aside. Winnie didn't expect Mrs. George to refuse her so directly. She looked as if she were about to break apart, looking at Mrs. George's warm gaze when she looked at me. Mother chuckled awkwardly. Then she changed the subject and stopped talking about the marriage arrangement. That evening, Father came back home, had been looking forward to the announcement of the marriage with the George family. I didn't expect my mother to remain silent until after the meal. My father could no longer hold back. He immediately called Winnie to the study. I made an excuse to bring my father some fruit and leaned against the door of the study. I easily heard what was being said. My father roared at Winnie. You said Lucas was very nice to you and really liked you, right? Then why is Mrs. George no longer willing to let Lucas and you get engaged? Then came Winnie's sobbing voice. Mrs. George said not to take an illegitimate daughter-in-law. What can I do? She also said she wants Julia, no one else. Father said with gritted teeth. What good is Julia? I wanted you to marry into the George family, just to secure your position in J City. When your younger brother is born, I'll bring them back, and then I'll have a son. After saying that, I heard Father pause for a while. If Julia marries into the George family, they'll have too much leverage. We won't have any chance of winning. I'll go to the George family again tomorrow. This marriage must not happen. After that, the father and daughter continued to whisper about something, but none of that matters anymore. I ate the last piece of fruit in the fruit bowl. I turned around slowly and left. When I passed by the greenhouse, I saw my mother drinking tea. Seeing my figure, my mother smiled and waved at me. I walked up to her. My mother pulled me close. Your aunt has found the hospital where the slut is hiding. It just happens to be the George family business private hospital. That mistress had to go to Hong Kong to check the fetus's gender to keep it a secret, and during the flight there was a small problem, so she had to go to rest. I nodded and then asked, when does the mother plan to act? The mother patted my shoulder. As soon as possible. 3 days later, you help me watch Winnie. I'll deal with that woman, Madame George, to save face. Also to comfort Winnie, who was rejected, she gave me and her each a ticket. It's the hottest ballet recently. It's still in the VIP private box. Last night, Winnie attended. Madame George is involved in the related field, so she has a deep understanding of the ballet. She looked at the principal dancer in the red dress, squinted slightly, and said, Although this one is the best at dancing now, the previous one was better. The previous principal had top-notch quality and expression, but unfortunately she died in a fire later. Otherwise, there wouldn't be this principal now. I glanced at Winnie. Although it wasn't about her, I felt her face turn pale instantly. It seemed like she was about to fall to the ground. At that moment, Madame George suddenly spoke. Winnie, do you remember the girl who took the exam with you before? That's the one with the almond-shaped eyes. Where has she gone? I slightly turned my head away, seeing Winnie look flustered. Seeing Madame George ask herself, she forced herself to stay calm. Her family had some matters to deal with, so she gave up this path. Madame George nodded thoughtfully, sighing, it's really a pity for her talent, otherwise she could have gone further. Watching Winnie with a complex expression, I squinted my eyes slightly, as if recalling something, picked up the phone and got up, preparing to go out and send a message. 3 days later, I had Duncan family's Miss Winnie to a bar near her old high school under her own name. My father took care of this illegitimate daughter. It was really a lot of effort, choosing a high tuition but low-profile school. Winnie thought she and Duncan family's miss were good friends. She quickly agreed, then she carefully dressed up, with an elegant makeup look, and appeared at the bar, just after she got into the car to leave. His mother went to the hospital with her assistant James' family. She was preparing to take the mistress to have an abortion. I was sitting at the booth, smiling and greeting her. Winnie. Beside me was sitting Lucas, the Duncan family lady, and everyone else who had been kind to her at the party. Winnie's face turned stiff, as if she had guessed something, as if she didn't want to believe it. She forced a smile and asked the Duncan family lady, you said it was just the two of us going out, right? Why is there also Julia? It has come to this. Duncan family's miss is no longer bothered to pretend. She looked at Winnie from head to toe, then sneered, don't compare me to you. If it wasn't for Julia telling me to call you, would you think I wanted to see you, a bastard child of a mistress? Just seeing you makes me sick. After saying that, Winnie looked at Duncan family's miss in disbelief. It hurt her to see others nod in agreement. Even Lucas looked indifferent. And when she gave him a questioning look, Lucas said calmly, I only chatted with you because I lost a bet. I don't have any thoughts about you at all. Lucas can be considered Winnie's last psychological defense line. Winnie had tears in her eyes and trembled as she pointed at me. Julia, you're really bullying me. What did I do wrong? Is being an illegitimate daughter something I can choose? Why do you have the right to humiliate me like this? I was about to take a sip of the coffee on the table, upon hearing this. Her eyes flashed with mockery. I slowly looked up, smiling faintly at her. Winnie, so you think you're innocent? I let out a cold laugh and clapped my hands. A waiter approached and handed Winnie a glass of wine. Winnie impatiently pushed her away. My eyes accidentally fell on the waiter's arm. Then, as if burned by fire, I immediately took a few steps back. I looked at Winnie with a terrified expression and said, Lily, aren't you dead? The waiter slowly raised her head. Under thick bangs was a disfigured face. The burned skin that had been transplanted did not fully blend with the original skin. But it's also not hard to see from the girl's features that she once had an excellent appearance. Lily smiled at Winnie. The twisted and fierce skin was pressed together, looking terrifying. You once set fire to my house so I wouldn't take the exam. Do you remember? While saying that, Lily slowly approached Winnie. Winnie screamed, as if burned. Lily shook off her wrist. I smiled at Winnie. A sly smile curled at the corner of my mouth. Winnie, are you still pretending to be innocent? Wanting to investigate Winnie's background isn't really a difficult thing for people like us. It's not really a difficult thing for people like us. It was when I sent someone to visit the place Winnie used to return to the James family before. A girl in a mask stopped my assistant's way. She said she knew I wanted to catch Winnie's weakness, and she is that weakness. She and Winnie were classmates for 3 years, and their relationship was so close they could wear the same pants. Even Winnie's dancing talent was discovered by Lily herself, but Winnie is cruel and petty. It was just a simple argument, made Winnie hold a grudge. Moreover, Lily was much more beautiful than Winnie, and her dance skills were far superior to Winnie. Even the family was considered middle class. This made Winnie even more envious. Therefore, Jane's family before Winnie used the excuse of apology, visited Lily's home while she was napping. Finally, she set a fire, taking her parents who were in their dreams with her. And the only survivor of the family, Lily, was also unable to appear on stage again due to severe burns on her body. The perpetrator, Winnie, was now dressed in gold and silver, enjoying the treatment of the second daughter of the James family. This made Lily not hate. I watched Winnie, looking at Lily, whose face was unrecognizable. With fear, I gave a sincere reminder. Lily, there is enough evidence to prove that you intentionally set the fire before the police arrive. You all should settle accounts outside of the law. After saying that, I led the way out of the bar. I stood at the entrance of the bar. Even behind the thick soundproof wall, I could still hear Winnie's heart-wrenching screams. Probably Lily broken her leg. This is also Lily who told me in advance the price that Winnie had to pay. I thought carelessly. When I got home, my mother was already waiting in the living room. There was a delicate small box on the table in the living room. My mother smiled and said, "This is a gift for father." As soon as I thought about what she had done in the morning, I immediately realized what was inside. I also had a smile on my face, sitting on the sofa with my mother waiting for my father to come back home. Since that mistress got pregnant, my father rarely stayed overnight at the mistress's house. I have a large stake in the club he often goes to. I am now one of the largest shareholders there. One reason is to easily monitor my father's movements. The other is to prevent such things as a bastard child from happening again. But no matter how careful I am, there are always times when I miss something, so the best way now is to take action against my father. When my father came back from the club, the sun was about to set. I sat on the sofa with my mother, looking at this haggard man approaching us step by step. Apart from his well-groomed hairstyle, expensive perfume, and valuable clothes and jewelry, he was just a pile of flesh. About 40 or 50 years old, in the twilight of his life, lifeless and dull. My mother smiled and got up. She took the box from the table and gave it to him. "Husband, take a look at the gift I prepared for you." My father's brain was sluggish from alcohol. He held it for a while before finally realizing, and gave my mother a forced smile. "Thank you." When he finally opened the box and saw what was inside, he just realized, stared wide-eyed at the thing for a long time. Then he looked up in terror at his mother. His mother's expression was gentle, but what she said was spine-chilling. "It's already taking human form at 3 months old. I know you like your son so much. I'll take him out and give him to you early. Do you like this gift?" After my mother said that, I tilted my head, with a sweet smile. I looked at my father. "Dad, the previous one was that woman, the one before that was Winnie. Then it's your turn now." After saying that, before my father could run away, the butler outside immediately rushed forward and pinned him to the ground. My mother smiled sweetly as she looked down at him. "All these disasters are because of you. If it weren't for you, there wouldn't be a mistress. There wouldn't be a mistress. So aren't you the one who deserves to die the most?" After saying that, the mother smiled and said, "To prevent you from reversing the sterilization, I had no other choice but to take this measure. Later, the doctor will take away your weapon, and after the operation, I will find you a beautiful and peaceful nursing home to retire in." After saying that, the mother ignored her father's resistance. She waved her hand, and the father was taken away. All I can say is, what goes around comes around. Winnie, on the day of the verdict, I waited at the entrance of the court for Lily to come out. Lily had already taken off her mask. She boldly revealed her face to the world, seeing us waiting at the door. She came forward and I handed her a card. I said coldly, "This is Winnie's entire assets. I sold the jewelry my father gave her, all her properties, and her sports car, a total of more than 50 million. You can use the money to pay for your treatment, or go to a place with fresh air and a beautiful environment to recover." Lily clutched the card and nodded, then she turned around and left without looking back. After the verdict Winnie was announced, Winnie was sent to prison. I also went to visit her once on my way. Her beautiful long hair had been cut completely, and the new hair growth was yellow and dry, also thin to the point of being skin and bones. Seeing me arrive, she forced a smile. "Are you here to watch my downfall? It's only right. After all, the victor takes all." I silently looked at her face, which had long since lost its shape. His voice was steady and calm. "I'm not here to watch your downfall. I just came to inform you that I have given away all your assets to Lily, and the family's assets have nothing to do with you, James' family. You won't get a single penny from them. You once mocked me, saying I would have to rely on others to rise to power. Now, look again. How many things you went to such great lengths to obtain are still by your side." After saying that, I adjusted my clothes and got up to leave. I no longer cared about how she was going crazy on the other side of the glass window. Father was sent away, Mistress will be sent abroad after she recovers from her injuries, and Winnie will spend her life in prison atoning for her first half. Everything has settled down. I should also look forward to a brighter future after hearing the story above. What are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from